It's been a few weeks since the expansion launched, and we have done multiple tier lists about how good the new elite specs are. But there's one that we missed: how fun they actually are. So in this video, we're gonna go through all of the elite specs and see what makes them fun, what makes them not fun, how they could get better, and I will also leave a tier list poll for you to vote on which is the most fun elite spec this expansion. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. Go to my Twitch to watch me live every morning, and let's get into it. Now, the way that I'm gonna think about this is how they play, not how much powerful they are in any game mode, but how fun is it to press the button, how fun is to engage with these elite specs while also making builds with them, and how much variety they have in this regard. This is obviously going to be a subjective tier list, but I'll try my best to be objective in terms of what's fun and what isn't. For example, I really love Antiquary. I absolutely love how you can play with multiple weapons while also interacting with the artifacts in different ways in different game modes. Some of them are great for PvP, some of them are great for Warver's World, and some of them are great for PvE, and you have to choose, depending on the situation, what you want to pick. And you have to pick quick, because of course this will only last for a second. For example, if you're using Scrid Scuffle, you have to pick the one that you want to use in that situation very fast before you lose the opportunity to use it. And memorizing each of these special artifacts ends up making it super fun to play this over and over again, as there's always going to be something different that happens, particularly in PvP and Warver's World. The double edge mechanic is also kind of fun, to know that you can press the button again to use the ability twice with some sort of negative the second time you use it. But knowing those negatives and when to use them and choosing the way that you want to do it is great. Some of them are not the best though. For example, you're never going to use the connect coin toss double edge. It's too horrible in any game mode, to be honest. But it's good to know that it exists, and having this possibility is super nice. And now they actually changed the way that it looks. It's way easier to actually see how it, whether you can use double edge thing or not. The traits are also nice, and the way they change the way that you play it. Some of them are not very good. I don't think the double edge one, for example, is something that people end up bringing, but it made that a little bit underpowered because of this. But overall, I think the traits are pretty okay. And for me, this is one of the best ones ever, but it does have its issues, and I can't really put it on the best tier because of it, even if those issues are not really that big of a deal for me. In PvE, for example, even though it's fun to play and very powerful right now, you end up just going for the one that does the most amount of damage in terms of artifacts. And sometimes these animation locks, particularly in PvE, end up being very annoying. There's a little bit of fun of like knowing, oh, I'm pressing this button, therefore I will get animation locked. And there is some decisions you have to be made, like, hey, I'm very low health, I can use the hammer to heal myself in some way, right? I think those things are cool, but I think some of the effects are not really, I don't know, the best. Like, the special effects of some of the artifacts are just not really worth it, and ends up being like kind of, you press it anyways and you get the effect and whatever, right? It doesn't really change the way that you interact with your gameplay as much. So even though it's a very cool idea, it's missing a little bit of there to make it into a perfect spec. So I think S is a good place to put it. It works great, it has a lot of potential, but it's just not the perfect spec. I can't say that. Not in terms of how gameplay should flow. The one that I would say that is indeed perfect though is Galeshot. And I know what you're gonna say, Darren, but you put Galeshot on C on the open world tier list. Yeah, because it's not very good in open world. From the start, we knew that Galeshot was gonna be great. I mean, we looked at the animations, they look awesome, and that's really what it is. The Hunter Ranger, the Marksman Ranger, just works perfectly. Having this special bow that shoots luminary arrows, and the more you do them, the more stacks you get to do your special attack that destroys everything around it. It's super cool. And now the traits are way better too. You can go for your quickness, making it so certain attacks from your arrow give quickness to your allies in PvE. That also changes the way that you want to use your arrow, because your 2 gets reset whenever you press your 4 and your 5, which changes the way that you play this special bow, which is very cool. You can obviously play it normally as well, just pressing the buttons in succession depending on how much damage they do. And you can even go for Gale Force, which I think is the same thing you do in PvE, but it's even better in PvP and Warver's World because it gives you more movement speed. And you can pair this up with Field Rush to get, go way faster and have almost permanent swiftness. The way that your utilities interact as well with this special bubble that makes your projectiles do more damage is also so awesome. And it makes it perfectly work with your special longbow. Everything about the Galeshot is just perfect. Yes, I've complained about the fact that it doesn't have too many boons, but I mean, it's a selfish spec. It's a full DPS spec, and that's also okay. You have to decide, do you want to be a cool ranger that moves very fast? More fast than any other character, to be honest? Or do you want to be someone that gives boons? And you can make the decision, and it will be okay whatever you decide. Sure, would it be cool if you could have a little bit more boons and some utility to actually play this in open world? Yeah, absolutely, but I don't think every spec has had to have everything, and I think that's why this is so fun to play, because you know what you're sacrificing, and you know what you're getting for that sacrifice. One that I can't really say that it's very good though is Conduit. I really have tried my best to like Conduit because I love Revenant, and in some ways I do enjoy Conduit. It's fast, I like the utility it has, and I like the new F2 that makes you do a little bit of a jump kind of attack, and I like how it changes depending on the legend. I like the idea that depending on the type of legend you just get something different with these attacks, and obviously also different attributes, so making a decision on what legend you pick is pretty awesome. That being said, it just doesn't do enough. Wow guys, I have an F2 now, that's crazy. I wonder if Herald has an F2, and I wonder if Renegade has an F2, and I wonder if Vindicator has an F2. Oh, this is just core rev. That's what it is, and there's nothing wrong with that. Core rev is fun, I'm not gonna lie. I enjoy playing this class, but that's it. That's the only reason why Conduit is fun, is because it's Revenant, and Revenant is good. That's not a good enough reason to say that this is a good spec. It just isn't. The traits are also not that interesting, as you always take the same ones. Like, you always play conductive armaments in any situation, because gaining affinity is kind of hard because you're Revenant. You're not pressing your elite, your utility skills that much, so your affinity will be down if you don't do it. The mid traits are pretty okay, I guess. But the Grandmaster traits are also not that much fun. Like this one, oh wow, you'd have one less button, I guess, now. That's fun. You don't have to press it, it's just passive. That's, yeah. Wow, CC abilities that you were gonna press anything anyways to do a bit more damage. Okay, how does that change anything that I'm doing anyways? Oh, and now I have reduced cooldown on the ability that I have to press off cooldown. Okay. I'm sorry, but none of this is fun. And I had so much hope for it to be super cool and a great combination of every legend. Every legend gets inspired by Rasa. All the utility changes in some way. That would have been super awesome, but I guess that was too much work. But if it was too much work, maybe we shouldn't have gone for this idea, because this is just not it. I will say that originally this probably would be a C or even a D, and the changes probably made it into a B. Okay, look, that's too much. Let's see. C for Conduit. It used to be a D, and the changes made it to a C. That's probably fine. That's probably good. But more than that, I can't. Now let's talk about Paragon. This one is a bit hard. I'm not gonna lie, it was very hard for me to actually enjoy Paragon. The idea of it is super cool. Being this warrior paladin, it's the fantasy I've always wanted. I mean, I just didn't get it, but I just couldn't really vibe with the gameplay of it. It felt very much like just warrior like always. Particularly in PvE, it just felt like, yeah, use your adrenaline buttons as fast as you can, so you can do more healing and more boons. That's all there is to it. But I think I was a little bit wrong about this. Well, I wanted to keep recording, but for some reason, I think there's some issues with the server or something. So I can't really log back in, so, I'll take a little bit of a commercial break. Alright, we're back. So, Paragon. The echoes really make the difference. Managing your motivation, your adrenaline, to trigger the echoes whenever you need them is very, very cool. Knowing that you can use an utility and then need it a little bit later is always something that happens when you're playing other classes, but the fact that the mechanic happens afterwards, that you can trigger one of these motivations, trigger it again, is absolutely great. And it makes of this interesting balance of trying to use your chance in the moment that you need, but knowing that you might need to press another one to do something else afterwards. Yeah, you want to be healing right now, but maybe I need some stability afterwards, and I want to weave that together with the commands and the echoes to trigger them again. And all this gameplay is very interesting. It combines what Heal Berserker is very adrenaline heavy, very much press the buttons very fast to heal your allies to a little bit more smaller pace. While also keeping that, you want to press the buttons fast to keep your adrenaline, to keep your motivation up, and to keep your beautiful boons on as well. But I will also say that there's some things that don't really work here. The fact that a Reverberation command echoes can trigger a second time is kind of memed because invigorating tempo makes you heal more. And a DPS, and I need a DPS or Celestial build, you want to bring Strengthening Stanzas as well. I feel like the Reverberation should just be baseline. You should be able to trigger the echoes twice, and maybe Reverberation just makes it a third time. Making it something that's, yeah, it's powerful, but maybe not as powerful. Maybe that would be too overpowered. I don't know. It feels bad to not have echoes be able to trigger a second time all the time. The minors are also very boring. Call to action is completely useless, I feel like. It's just so boring. Calming Tongue is nice, and Livering Lions as well, but yeah, some of these traits are just, even the bigger traits, like Fairy Impulse forcing you to change between chance to give alacrity in PvE, it just feels so bad. Sometimes you just wanna be in one continuously pressing heal, and I get that you can go back on it, and in some ways it's kind of fun that it keeps you on it. It keeps you changing the buttons and making feel like you're a warrior, right? I just wish they did it somewhere else, not on alacrity. That is one of the biggest points of being a healer, you know, giving the boon that you have to give to your DPS so they do damage. I wish it would just work somewhere else. And giving incentives to change chance, it's good, but I just don't feel like this is the way to do it. The DPS build is also super boring, to be honest. Deal increased damage based on your motivation level. It just makes you press F2 once, you just keep it and press adrenaline. It makes the DPS build just so insanely boring. And, you know, if they would have committed to just, alright guys, it's just a healing build or what? Okay, sure, whatever, that's fine. But if you're gonna commit to also being in a DPS, make the DPS spec actually fun. Not just, you do more damage now with this trait and okay. Doing the same thing that you would be doing anyways. Like, it just, realistically, the traits in Paragon are just not that fun. And I'm glad that they changed it, so now you actually have your little wings there most of the time whenever you're using your buttons. I think that's actually very cool. But it kind of sucks that, you know, the wings are essentially the same skin as the Golden Hawk Feathers wing backpack. It's like, I mean, we could have gotten something different, couldn't we? Like something more original, I think, right? Than just this, but recolored. So I think Paragon, I think A is a good place to put it. It's fun, it has a lot of potential, but it's like, it just needs a bit more work to make it better. The traits, yeah, I don't know. I hate to say it because I don't like Warrior mains complaining about Warrior being bad when it's been pretty good lately. But in Paragon, I think, you know, it needed a bit more work, I think. In terms of power, I think I was actually a bit wrong. I think it deserves a little bit more than this, maybe an S, but I think in terms of fun, it's, yeah. And let's talk about next, about Trobadour. The idea on Trobadour is pretty awesome, I think. Having the little flutes, the little drums, everything around you, and trying to keep them up at all times to just do more damage and get more attributes, with Crescendo making them do even more. I think it's very, very cool, especially when you pair it with Tale of the August Queen that makes all of them spawn in one go. It is very cool. The fact that this also gives Khazora and Distortion to your allies is beautiful as well. And the way that they reward Tails, so this time instead give you notes, well, more notes, whenever the respective instrument is playing, it makes the entire gameplay of it, I think, very fun. You want to press the tails in the correct moment, otherwise you might actually get a lack of notes to use the rest of the instruments and prevent you from doing the damage that you want to do or the support that you want to do as a healer. The traits being rewarded also are pretty nice. I think they have changed a good amount. They're not like the most insane traits ever that completely change everything about it, but the Grandmasters are way more interesting now, I think. Mainly because of the change of other things and the way that they interact now. The problem is, what's the difference between this and Chronomancer? Like, what are you doing here? You are pressing your shatters on the moment that they need to be pressed. For Chrono is, hey, all the time to keep up those boons. In Trobadour is, well, press them whenever the line goes to the bottom, okay, before they stop playing. So instead of the boons, now it's just a line that slowly ticks down. So has Mesmer changed that much compared to Chrono? I just don't think so. And it's so annoying to try and keep your eyes on those small little bars all the time. It's just, I don't know. I'm more stressed playing this spec than I am having fun in this one. It's because the UI just sucks. For it to be here instead of in the middle of the screen, for it to be so small all the time, for me to have to look at this little notes right here to try and see how many we have, the UI just makes this spec so unfun. It makes it a service out of it. But it is a very cool spec, and Chrono is very fun as well. I think it's listed same as Conduit, right? Like, Conduit is fun because Revenant Core is fun, and Trobadour is fun because Mesmer and particularly Chrono is fun. I don't think it's a situation where, like, you know, it should be like Conduit. And I don't think it's a situation where it should be B either, because there are some cool ideas here, like the tails interacting with your instruments. So I think A is a good place to put it. I think that's a fair thing to say. I just wish it would have been a little bit more musical themed. Yeah, it's nice to have the little things on the top, right, the little instruments, but the gameplay is not very musical at all. Like, there's just it's just Mesmer again, it's just Chrono again, and that's just it's so disappointing. It could have been so much better, but I guess it is what it is. Like, imagine if depending on the shatters that you use, not only you play different instruments, but the song changes and you have a different combination of things. Like, oh, well, okay. Enough about Trobadour. Let's go to the next one. Let's go for a good one. Let's talk about Ritualist. I'm not gonna lie, at the beginning, Ritualist was not very fun. And that was because you couldn't really play with the spirits. Okay, you have them, right? You summon them. Cool. But then you leave the shroud and they instantly disappear. You can no longer use the Wanderer's Under Preservation or the Innervate Anguish to use the special abilities from it. It just felt like Necromancer again with his little guys, right? That has changed. Now, whenever you actually use your Wanderlust, these things don't disappear. They are still there. They just get empowered, making it buttons that you can actually press without feeling that you're losing damage or anything. You press them when you need them. And this would be an issue usually if you pick Soul Twisting and if you pick Wilder's Moon, but thankfully you pick Lingering Spirit on everything. So you can actually press these buttons outside of the Shroud, which completely fixes this elite spec. You can now do your rotation without feeling guilty of going off of Shroud, because you might need your Wanderlust, your stuff, your boons on F2, F3, and F4. You can now use them exactly when you want, off cooldown if you want, which is, I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's better to use it reactively, but you can, and that's just so awesome. It's absolutely great. It makes the healing build feel good. It makes the DPS feeling good. It makes the boon DPS build feeling good. It's just, oh, it's perfect. I also love bringing the weapon spells as well to give my allies lifesteal, give myself lifesteal. It's just so tanky. There's so many cool little things that you can give to your allies. It's kind of like the whole Amalgam thing, right? You're getting a special effect that applies to you and your allies. It's just, oh, it's so fun. It's so cool that you can move them around as well and change some things. And it's also nice that now you also bring some minions to do more damage as well, making it a little bit more of a minion mancer. It's not exactly a minion mancer, let's be real, guys. Like, it's not perfect or anything. Like, it's not Guild Wars 1 minion mancer or anything, but yeah, it's getting there, and it gives me that idea way more than other classes, so, or core necro. So I think, you know, I think they did an okay job considering the limitations they probably had in terms of performance and, you know, viability of having so many minions in your game. So I think they did a good job. That being said, I do think there's a bit of an issue. The fact that you have to get Lingering Spirits to make any build work, because it's so good to have your spirits all the time there. It's just, why would you? Just make a baseline, guys. Come on. Like, this is just... I said this at the start, right? Like I said this last beta. I said, hey, you know, this is not gonna work out if you don't have this baseline. And yeah, that's why everybody picks this on every build. I want to be able to use Wilder's Boons to make my weapon spells work better on allies. I want to be able to play Soul Twisting so I can press these spirits twice. I like that idea, but I can't, because holy, this plays so badly. This feels so bad if you pick something else. If every time you leave Shroud, the whole mechanic of your class just disappears. So I think the best place to put it is on S. Just almost there to make it into S+, but just... it's just missing that one thing. And I know that some Guild Wars 1 purist of Ritualist might be mad at me for putting it so high, but I think for the limitations they had, I think they did a good job. I also do love the way that it works in Wars 1 and PvP, where you don't bring these builds as much, right? You don't go for the specialized elements. You do change in between different things, but you can change the type of animal that you're bringing. You can bring almost everything, right? You have water for healing. You have the toad for dagger. You can even bring the hair, and I really do love this special hair trait here that makes your familiar skill make you a blur to prevent damage from being done to you. It's pretty fun. And I also love the fact that you go in and out of your different attunements and you prioritize one because of your special elemental. It's pretty fun. There's a lot of builds that you can make around. There's a lot of build diversity of it, but it's just not enough, I don't think. Like, I will say that the Grandmasters are pretty fun and they change the gameplay a good amount, but I think it's on this traits that everything kind of gets lost because of the utility being so unfun. And the only way to make it fun is to take altruistic aspects, right? Because then they give some boon, which honestly, it should give the boon normally. But then, oh wait, if you're playing DPS, you become only a DPS take because you need to take Fiery Might in PvE, because if you don't take it, you're losing so much damage, and then you can't take altruistic aspect. Oh, and even if you do take this, you're losing a lot of damage. Well, you're locked in your utilities a lot here as well, right? So I want to give stability with my beautiful Toad, but oh wait, now I don't have the Stun Break because I'm not Toad, I'm Fire. So I would have to keep the Fox Fury, but I want to do this off cooldown anyways because this is the one that Stun Breaks, but this one gives us ability. It's like, it's so messy. It's so weird. The limitations that all of this, gives us, it's not powerful enough. It's not giving us something super cool because of these limitations. Even if you don't play specialized elements, okay, sure, you have your little, you can go back into your attunement like instantly, but even if you do, your cooldown is like gonna be there anyway, so what's even the point as much? You're kind of forced to play Scepter, which is kind of okay, but even then, sometimes you just don't want to go there that fast. I don't know. I wish they would have given it so, depending on the, you have the cooldown situation with a single attunement thing, right? But even without single attunement, I feel like whatever element we pick because of the familiar, all the cooldowns there are like, I don't know, 25% less or something. I don't know. I think that would have been more cool. Realistically, the only fun part about this is the global cooldown. And yeah, in PP and Wars World, there's a good amount of stuff as well, I guess. I kind of want to put it on A, but it just, and maybe this is just my subjective opinion, I just don't have as much fun unless I'm playing a very particular type of build on Evoker, and even then it's not that much fun. So I think it could be so much better. I think B is the correct place to put it. And now we have two of the best ones, Amalgam and Luminary. Let's go for Amalgam, and this one is also gonna be as right here. You know what? Even above Ritualist. Let's do that. I mean, how could I not give this to Amalgam? It's just so fun to move around and change your different types of profession mechanic skills. Just pick whatever you want depending on the boons you want, depending on the type of utility you need, and you can pick it up whenever you want. You have your Evolve that changes so many different ways how you actually play this, right? Like, you can make it so it retires your morph skills, so you want to use all your morph skills and then use Evolve, right? You can have double Helix that gives you more bonuses, so you want to use your Evolve and then use your morph skills. And you have your beautiful new genes that gives you additional boons. And this makes you want to choose different types of stuff as well, right? Makes you want to pick different abilities depending on the boons you want, right? All the traits are super interesting and changed a good amount how you want to play this. The utility is also nice. The animations are absolutely beautiful. The idea, the theme of the spec is just so well done. Absolutely great. And I don't know what else to say, guys. It's just a very good spec. It's just so fun. And I know I put it on S, I didn't put it on S+, and that's mainly because I don't really like the change that they made to new genes. Yes, this one is good, and I like the fact that you can give boons now, but the idea of giving lifesteal to your allies, right? And all these different effects was such a cool idea. And, I understand that maybe they wanted to also be able to give boons, but then make it that way. Maybe make it so new genes just, look, give boons, and the ones that are a bit special, like, for example, the Protect one that gives Berry to your allies, right? Or the Demolish one that gives lifesteal. Like, all these things also apply to the new gens. That way, it would have been a good, nice middle ground. They can control it because they decide what type of restraints actually do affect the allies. So you don't have, like, the whole quickness and likery thing at the same time. Right? Like, I think this would have been so much better, and it just out of the possibility of that happening and it not happening, I have to, out of protest, put it on S instead of S plus, because it's just not perfect. It's almost perfect, and it pisses me off, but it makes me sad. But it is what it is. And you know what's next? And this is my favorite one, guys. You know how it is. Luminary, guys. Yeah, it is the best one. Did you think anything else? I'm the Luminary simp. Of course I was gonna put it on S plus and a top level. Like, it just... Yeah. Luminary is just beautiful. The animations, the way that it works, the way that you can go into your shroud, choose the weapons that you want to use depending on what you want to use them for, from ability, for healing, the fact that you can stay there, right? Stay on the shroud, attacking and out-attacking, doing a special type of movement, right? And then finish with whatever passive effect you want, because every weapon gives you a different effect, right? The hammer gives you more damage, the staff more healing, the sword more movement, right? The shield more, less damage done to you and your allies. Like, actually, it's only you, I think it's only you. Regardless, it is awesome, right? The fact that you are giving less damage done to your allies as well with Luminary's Blessing whenever you're going in there. It's just great. The fact that you can change the way that this plays out depending on the type of trade as well. It's just Sovereign of Light. You're Luminary. You want to explode in light with light aura. It explodes. It heals your allies. And now you can play Guardian in a different way. You don't really play around light aura that much. Well, now you can. And you can change this. Oh, well, maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I want to reduce the charge of my virtue skills that are also very useful here. Do not care as much about the Radiant Forge, but instead about my F1, F2, and F3. And they're instant, and then you can use them whenever I want. That's super cool. The fact that you can use Master of Arms instead as well to replenish your Radiant Forge. I want to use my hammer, boom, I use my hammer, I use my F1, boom, it resets. Awesome, right? I want to use these other ones, and I really need to do some healing, right? I need to heal my allies. I want to reset it here so I can do some of the stuff again, right? Like, there's just so much skill associated with this combinations of attacks, and it's just, oh, it's so awesome. It's so much better than Firebrand, honestly. I know a lot of people say like this is like just worse Firebrand. It's better Firebrand. This is what Firebrand should be, and in some ways it's kind of weird because I say like, oh, you know, Trobadour is just Chronomancer. It's just Chronomancer for virtuosos, but this not only makes Firebrand better, but it also makes it different. It plays different, unlike Chrono, for example, right? And Trobadour, right? Like, this is why I like it so much. They get an idea that maybe it's not the best one in theory, but they make it better. And I personally, I really like the animations as well. They look so beautiful. All of them just, it's just so Guardian, and yeah, maybe the lore is not perfect. Okay, I think I've heard More Than Potatoes complain a little bit about that, but I guess I just don't care. I just love the way that the entire spec works, and I just, oh, it's my favorite spec, even without, you know, while playing the rats as much as I do. Because realistically, I've been playing the rats, Antiquary, way more than Luminary, but Luminary is just, it's, you know why? It's because I know how much I love Luminary, and I know that I want to try something else that maybe, you know, I don't have as much of an opinion on. Well, I guess I do have an opinion on Antiquary. I don't know. I guess maybe I could say that I would switch this up in terms of fun for myself, right? Subjectively, but objectively for everybody else, I think this is the correct place to put it on. So there you go. I think that's the yeah, I think that's the tier list, and I'm pretty proud of it. I think I'm happy with this. I think this is the correct way of saying things. You can obviously disagree in the comments, and I'll be making a special live voting poll as well, so you can go in there and decide on which ones are the best ones for you. But there you go. That's the entire video. Let me know what you guys think. If you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm right, and yeah. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Go to my Ko-Fi if you want to support my content. Go to my Twitch to watch me live every morning. See you guys around. Love you all. Ciao, ciao.